All right, what we're going to do is we're going to solve some difficult quadratics. Ones like this, the first thing we need to do is put it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. You always have to set it equal to 0 because then when you solve, you'll have your solutions, you'll have your x-intercepts. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my negative x squared. And then here's what I'll do is I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So I'll go minus 2x and minus 2x. And that will put everything on the same side. So I'll have negative x squared minus 2x plus 7 equals 0. So I just put everything on the same side right there. Now what I'm going to do, because I have an x squared and an x, I'm going to put these into the quadratic formula. I can't just solve it using regular operations because it has both an x squared and an x. So here's what I'll do. I'll say opposite b would be 2 plus or minus the square root. B squared is 4 minus 4. My a value is a negative 1. And then c is now a positive 7, all over 2 times a negative 1. All right, now that that's filled out, I can simplify underneath the square root sign by just a little bit of mental math. If I go 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. So 4 plus 28 is 32. So I have 2 plus minus the square root of 32 over negative 2. The reason this is one of the more difficult ones is because 32 is not a perfect square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 32 and I'm going to chop it up into 2 pieces. One of my pieces is going to be a perfect square. The other one is going to be a leftover. So 16 is a perfect square that goes into 32 evenly, and it goes in 2 times. So I'm going to have square root 16 and square root 2 for my two pieces. When I simplify it, I'll have 4 square root 2 will be after I've taken the perfect squares out. So if I move this up a little bit, here's what I have now. I have 2 plus or minus 4 root 2 over negative 2. The last thing I have to do before I simplify is to see if there is a number that is in common to all 3 pieces. To this one right here, this 2, this 4, and this negative 2, I don't look underneath the square root sign, just the other 3 numbers. When I look, I see that there's a 2 in common to all 3 of those because those are even numbers. I don't want to have negative numbers in the denominator, so I'm actually going to factor out a negative 2. So if I divide by negative 2 for the first number, I should get negative 1 plus or minus. If I divide by negative 2 here, I get negative 2. I'm just going to write 2 because the negative sign is actually taken care of right there. Root 2. When I divide by negative 2 on bottom, I get 1. Anything divided by 1 I don't need to write. So my answer is negative 1 plus minus 2 root 2.